Ukraine said it blocked many Russian missiles. The Ukrainian Air Force Command said that Russia deployed 40 missiles and UAVs to attack many areas in Ukraine, but most of these weapons were disabled. According to Ukraine, Russia launched 7 air defense missiles from the S-300, S-400 system, 6 Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, 12 Kh-101, Kh-555 missiles, 6 Kh-22 missiles, 6 ballistic missiles, Iskander-M, 2 Kh-31P missiles, 4 Kh-59 missiles and 3 suicide UAVs. Air Defense Forces shot down 7 Kh-101, Kh-555 missiles and 1 Kh-59 missile. Besides, more than 20 other weapons listed above were also disabled by electronic warfare systems, but they are not counted in the interception list, pointed out a representative of the Ukrainian Air Force. Russia raided Ukrainian defense industrial facilities. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed that its forces launched a major attack on Ukraine's defense industrial facilities using high-precision long-range weapons, including Kinzhal hypersonic missiles and UAVs. Accordingly, the Russian military launched missile and UAV attacks on targets including 155 mm, 152 mm and 125 mm artillery shell production facilities for Ukrainian tanks and artillery, UAV factories and gunpowder factories. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed that all designated targets were successfully attacked but did not reveal the number, location of the targets and number of weapons used in the attack. Some related developments. Ukraine warns of increased raids on Crimea. Head of the Ukrainian Defense Intelligence Agency Kyrylo Budanov has warned that Kiev will increase raids on the Crimean Peninsula this year. In 2023, the first incursions into Crimea took place. And this is just the beginning. Russia is having to move its naval forces to the southeast after the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet Sevastopol was repeatedly attacked, Mr. Budanov said. Also, according to Mr. Budanov, the situation on the front line is becoming deadlocked for both sides. The high-intensity use of UAVs has hindered the offensive efforts of Ukraine and Russia. Besides, there is a minefield with a density unprecedented since World War II, Mr. Budanov said. Conflict in Ukraine may continue beyond 2025. Deputy Secretary General of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, Mircea Geoana said that the military conflict in Ukraine could continue even after 2025. I urge you to prepare for a long war. The end of the war will not happen in 2024, probably not in 2025. We do not see the military possibility of achieving a decisive victory for either side in any sense. We are seeing a long war with small attacks, counterattacks, Mr. Geoana said. According to NATO Deputy Secretary General, perhaps we were too enthusiastic and optimistic when we started Ukraine's attack a few months ago, last spring. I hope you do not go to the opposite extreme of being too pessimistic. The effectiveness of Ukraine's use of cluster bombs is gradually decreasing. The New York Times wrote that the use of cluster bombs on the battlefield by the Ukrainian armed forces is increasingly ineffective. Previously, U.S.-supplied cluster bombs were used to raid large groups of Russian troops, but now much smaller units are participating in the attacks. It should also be noted that attacking the Russian army was complicated by the deep trenches they had dug. Britain did not confirm conflict with Russia in the new agreement with Ukraine. According to a recently published document, the new security cooperation agreement between London and Kiev does not stipulate that Britain participate in the conflict with Russia, but promises to strengthen and continue systematic support in the field of conflict. Defense sector. It is known that Britain pledged to support Ukraine for 10 years. The agreement includes 9 parts: defense and security, maritime security, cooperation in the defense industry, protection of critical infrastructure, propaganda work, cybersecurity, organized crime, financial support, recovery of Ukraine. According to the document, Britain remains Ukraine's leading partner in providing military support to protect Ukrainian territory, including the Free Economic Zone, rebuild the national economy and protect citizens. Supporting the development of the Ukrainian armed forces, with priority given to air defense, artillery and long-range firepower, and armored vehicles. The Ukrainian side said that there was no mention of Britain's direct involvement in the conflict with Russia or the deployment of the kingdom's army on Ukrainian territory. The kingdom will encourage its defense industry to cooperate with Ukraine to support the localization of the repair, maintenance and production of British defense products in Ukraine, the document said. Mr. Zelensky wants a ceasefire but has not been able to do so. Ukrainian political scientist Dmitry Kornichuk said that President Volodymyr Zelensky recognizes the need for a ceasefire agreement with Russia, but it has not yet been possible to implement this. Signs on the battlefield show that Ukraine is on the defensive and then begins to need some negotiations. High-ranking officials such as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the Director General of the General Intelligence Department and even President Zelensky are secretly giving such signals. At some point, the Ukrainian leader must speak clearly about that, Mr. Kornichuk explained. According to Mr. Kornichuk, Director General of the General Intelligence Service of Ukraine, Kirill Budanov no longer talks about the possibility of attacking Crimea. Meanwhile, 6 months ago, Mr. Budanov spoke often about the rapid attack in Crimea. And now, talking about the opposite. It is impossible to advance anywhere. The Russians have a large number of drones and minefields. Poland sent planes to monitor the Russian raid. The Polish Ministry of Defense has confirmed the deployment of fighter jets near the Ukrainian border to monitor the Russian raid. The Polish Air Force has detected an increase in Russian raid activity. We decided to send our aircraft and those of our allies to the border to protect Polish airspace, the Polish Ministry of Defense announced. Previously, the Russian military conducted a large-scale raid targeting Ukrainian military production facilities. The Russian Ministry of Defense said the raid used Kinzhal hypersonic missiles and all targeted targets were hit.